Welcome to Puck Talk CS. I'm Matthew Mugno alongside Mike Mugno, my big brother, and Steve
Oh,
Murno, our friend. We're here to talk all things foreign nations. What a stumbling surprise for the NHL. And for our New York Rangers consistent listeners, we're hopping right into Ranger talk because the NHL season kicks back up on Saturday. So, boys, I know we got a lot to dive into with Four Nations. We haven't talked about that. We didn't actually talk about the Rangers before break either. So I'm ready to rock.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk some puck, baby.
All right, boys. Here's the first thing. There's been a lot of talk. Let's talk big picture. Uh, NHL. This is my take. I think this is the best. This is the best NHL event they've created since the Winter Classic, but I don't think it was intentional. We also got really fortunate that 2026, 2028, there's going to be a World Cup of hockey and an Olympics. So international hockey is back. It's great to see this generation. Would you concur with me that this is one of the better NHL inventions since really the dawn of the Winter Classic in 2008?
Chives, and hey, everybody, I haven't said anything yet, so what's up? Um, no, I absolutely agree with you. Like you said, this is a complete surprise. I don't think anybody expected it to be this way. But when it comes to international hockey, the fellas love to play for their country. They love to play for their people, and you know, I, I think the consensus across literally the entire sports world is this is absolutely amazing. This is probably the best marketing thing for the NHL in, like you said, since the Winter Classic, basically in a decade and a half. But I think true hockey fans were expecting it to be at the very least good hockey. I feel like there are some people that online you would see like, oh, these guys aren't going to try. Oh, it's just going to be another exhibition to them. And I don't think I've seen any hockey player not try besides like Kucherov in last year's All Star game. Like, when do hockey players not try compared to the NBA? So, yeah, I think this is fantastic.
Steve
Is,
take.
is it too early for a hot take 2 minutes in?
Do it.
Actually,
Never too early.
and I think the NBA is better. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, this is the best.
Oh,
Of course, this is the best one. This is the best one. Of course, you look at the Pro Bowl. I think it's. I think this has been awesome. I think. I haven't felt like this energized about hockey for a meaningful NHL regular season postseason game probably since like John Scott. What was that 2016 All Star game?
yeah.
2015, like. Yeah, and the NHL All Star Game used to be banging. What was that years ago? We were in high school. They used to put on a clinic. But I 100% agree with you. I think this is the best out of baseball, football, basketball. It doesn't get better than this, like 100%. I think what I like about this is that a lot of people, you flip on ESPN, you got Stephen A talking about it, like everybody's talking about it, which I think is great for hockey. I think if anything, hockey and the NHL completely won this last weekend post Super Bowl. So I love it. It's great for the sport.
Well, you know what? Yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm glad that you brought up the fact that it's a massive marketing thing. Like, people who don't normally talk about hockey are talking about this, and just from personal experience, you guys are gonna laugh at me. So my lab in at the University of Delaware, like my little desk, is right in the main area where all the other grad students' desks are. So when you walk in the door, I'm right there, and I got a whiteboard, and on the whiteboard I wrote USA Hockey is do or die. And the amount of people, no, we're talking about nerds. We're talking about people that don't know anything about sports at all. Walk in, and each one of them was like, "Hey, I saw like this is a crazy tournament. Hey, what's this Four Nations thing? Hey, holy cow! Like that USA Canada game. How many fights were there? The amount of people that have come in and they're talking to me directly about it. I mean, I already have Rangers stuff, Yankees stuff. Even when the Yankees were in the World Series, I had maybe a couple people come up and say, "Hey, that's pretty cool. Yanks are in the series, right?" This everybody's talking about it, and that's massive for the NHL.
well, there's three things that factor in. One, you you kind of slid into a time where no football, right? Super Bowl's over. College football's over. There's really no international like FIFA World Cup right now, an event of that scale. it's before the baseball season, well before the baseball season. So there's obviously also the excuse me, you can't ignore like geopolitical factor 100% played into USA Canada.
Hmm.
Um and how hard they played. Like, I'll be honest, everything I heard from the New York Rangers PR last year was that the All-Star game last year was a disaster for the league. Like, not just for like the players were not happy, nobody was happy with it. And that was direct word from the organization. So, um I think there were a lot of factors that played into it. And I mean, how could you not love how hard they're playing? So, and also the talent. Like, we're sitting and everyone's talking about Sidney Crosby, right? Golden goal 2014. Steve and I were taking, like, we skipped the last period of school to see that. We were still in middle school. Like, that's how long it's been. Uh, but then you think about how much the teams have changed, right? Like Sid is like the only person remaining on Team Canada from those teams. I think that's pretty cool too, because I think it's also showing how much money is now in the United States programs. Like you're getting players like Eichel, like Larkin that are having effects on these games because now USA is really getting to that level that Canada's at.
Yeah, and I think going back to the point you made about the All Star games, what makes this more, like whoa, is the effort level. The last few All Star games, even going back to like 15, 16, the effort was there. But then slowly it diminishes and diminishes. And then last year, I don't know if you boys watched last year. Last year was just a joke. I mean, there's
That was a joke.
nobody
Yeah.
wants to play. It's just nobody wants to get hurt. And yeah, you don't blame them. But I mean, the effort in this right off the bat. I mean, 10 seconds in and we're already dropping the gloves. I mean, that's what everybody wants to see. If you're a big hockey nerd, I mean, that nothing gets you, more pumped up than that. So, I mean, the effort, the skills, everything, it's awesome. And, why don't we talk about, the matchup we got coming up on Thursday? I mean, that is going to be cinema.
Actually, wait. We got to talk about the two Kachucks first. Before we get there, I got to field opinions. I
Absolute
mean, now
animals.
it's definitely in the rear view, but boy, they were that wasn't even just like a fight and jersey over the top like that. I don't know if I've been that into a hockey game because of a fight, like genuinely probably since the Tom Wilson fight. That was nuts.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And even the line brawl last year, especially like with Matt Rempe and all the Matt Rempe circus stuff. That just that's fun because it's all regular season stuff. This felt almost like it had bite to it. The fact that they were so fired up, and the fact that the Kachucks put into a group chat with JT Miller, like, all right, who we taking? Which, by the way, is freaking hilarious. We're talking
So
about like
savage.
it's so funny. I could see the two of them, those two menaces, being like, hey JT, who you want to take? We're gonna fight. Like it's just
I
crazy.
I'm just thinking about them like sitting there like they're like which guy is gonna fight? Like who on the team, who else is gonna fight like us like crazies? And they were like JT Miller. He was probably like, oh no, how'd I get
or
roped
he
into
was
this?
probably like, hell yeah,
Hell
boys,
yeah.
we're
I
doing
think it was
this.
like, hell yeah.
That's
Which
sick.
is awesome.
Also, how about that dap up that when
Oh,
that they did it right when he came into the box? I mean, that was like a prime Matt and Steve O dap from back in the day. I mean that one got me riled up too. I mean, they are so clean.
Even his
they're
hit on
menaces.
Dowdy. Oh my gosh. Like I had like I reacted like out loud. It wasn't even like a thought in my brain, like, oh, that was sick. Like I was like, oh my God, he lit him up.
Speaking of hits
Crazy.
too, I mean, McAvoy's hit. I mean, McAvoy was throwing the body all over the place, but his hit on McDavid, oh, he flattened the best player in the world. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Like, and you know what, too? I got it. Listen, I'll give him credit because obviously the U.S., when it came to physicality, dominated. But that McDavid goal, too, to like, it was just the chaos of like the fights and the big hits, and then McDavid walks through everybody and snipes one. Like, that was the wildest first period I've ever seen to a hockey game in my entire life, hands down.
Well, let's just say, this is for people that weren't alive for 1980. We were obviously weren't alive for 60. Uh, we saw 2010, wrong side of that, wrong side of 2014. TJ Sochi, that was sick, but you had to be awake for that. This was prime time. This was ESPN. This is everyone's talking about it. Geopolitically fueled. We weren't alive for the Summit Series. We weren't alive for all of that. So this is our generation's first opportunity at this, and that's why I think also why it resonates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just the scope. I mean, all the people that again, like Mike, just like you, like my cohort, like people who know nothing about hockey. They couldn't even name even 3 teams. Like everyone's buzzing about it. So I think again, this was a big win for hockey. And as hockey guys, I mean, we are happy about this. I mean, you really can't complain. I mean, this is and how many opportunities, does do events like these come around and got to make the best of it on Thursday. I mean, Thursday could be a different conversation, but we'll sit on that.
Yeah.
You
Well, you
know,
know what, too? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Josh.
I was gonna say, you guys want to get into talking about the championship because it's round 2 of this. So
Yeah, I just had one more point for the tournament in general. I
yeah,
like the fact that all 4 nations were complete. I don't want to say completely, but like from a pure hockey strategy standpoint, we're practically 4 completely different teams. Like the US was like tough and grit was going to get you through. Canada was just a pure talent. The Swedes were like that finesse skill kind of game, and the Finns were just kind of like that suffocating, not trap defense like the old Devils, but like that suffocating kind of game. And I like the fact that we saw all 4 play styles kind of counter each other. You saw that chess as the round robin was going on, and as someone who likes to read about hockey strategy, that was really cool to see.
yeah, the X's and O's are cool too. I agree.
Oh, absolutely.
I think the Finns were suffering, suffocating themselves. Watching that
Well,
was tough.
all right. Here's one thing I'll say too, because it's the only bad thing I'm going to say the entire episode. And normally I'm the guy that's delivering that stuff in gallons. I do have to say, for how big this is, the greatest scorer of our generation, one of the greatest scorers of all time, not in the tournament. And I'm not saying this from a political standpoint. Uh, Not the best look to not have him in it or have a Team Europe. The World Cup of Hockey had the Team North America, which basically they're pretty much the 2 Canadian and American rosters, and they had a Team Europe. And I thought that would be a good way to get some more players in like Pasternak and Ovi. And I know obviously that there's kind of no way around the whole Ukraine Russia conversation. I'm not talking really about that, more so of just this guy can break the record this year. I think it would have been a great platform to talk about that and to have that discussion in conversation too, especially since Crosby's in it, right? Like it feels like I feel there's something missing with that. The 4 nations is great, but I I do think it would have been cool to see a Team Europe.
I agree. I think if
I
you
agree.
had if you had 6 teams and extended another game, I think that format really would have worked. But I guess, you know, due to issues out of our control, didn't work out. But I'm okay with it. I'm still we have US Canada. I think that's what everybody wants anyway in the end. So that's what we're getting.
And anyways, I don't mean to be like this, but like Ovi usually sits the All Star game out. Would he have sat out with the
I
Team
think he would
Russia?
have played.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think well, I don't think he would have sat out. I think he would have played, like you're saying, Steve. But you know, I don't know. Ovi in the past has been kind of weird when it comes to these things, but it's neither here nor there. We do not have the power to change that, so we
It's
move on.
neither here nor there.
We move forward.
Really quick since we're on Ovi, yes or no
Of
from
course,
both
Steve.
of you. Does he get the record this season?
I think so because the Caps are hot. Like if they were struggling, I'd question, but I think he's got it.
It just pisses me off. This is such a stupid thing to say, but aesthetically, it pisses me off that the Caps uniform is already so ugly, and then they got a million patches. Like he's got the C and the 50th anniversary patch and the ad and the. I want him to look clean when he breaks that record, and he's not going to. And that pisses me off.
Steve-O, what's your thought?
Yes, I do think he's gonna get it. I mean,
All right. Yes is all across, folks.
yes, I think he's gonna get it. I think he's performing at a great level. If he stays healthy, I think it will come down to the wire. Maybe last 2 weeks, but I think he's gonna get it.
All right. So championship game. Let's start. Let's start first with the whole. We're aware there's injuries, but to me, I'm the type. I'm not accounting for Quinn Hughes. If McCarr plays, okay. They already are missing Petrangelo and Theodore. Like, I don't. The Bruins announced McAvoy's not going to play, so I think that they. I don't think you can like state that injuries like you can't slight one team or the other for that. Like it just is what
Mhm.
it is.
No, I agree with you on that. You know, I'm not always a fan of like, well, if they had this player, maybe things would be different because you never know. You never know. Some guys can have a bad night. Some guys can have a great night and step up in their stead. Like Chris Kreider scored, you know,
Yes.
coming into the lineup. Like you never know. You're like, oh yeah, they don't have Matt Kachuk, but Kreider scored. So I don't know. It's really tough to say. Oh, by the way, I'm playing with like a stress ball. Sorry. For those looking at the video, I'm like, they're probably like, what the hell?
Games on Thursday. We're a little early for that.
Yeah. But no, I don't really hold too much. If it was maybe McDavid, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's different. But yeah, missing a few guys, especially when we are Americans, we're missing a few guys. Different yeah, doesn't really bother me, I guess. Doesn't really affect it in my eyes.
Steve, any feels on that?
I agree with you. I think it doesn't feel me, and it's just something about this team just feels different. Even from the first game, right off the bat in this competition, you just got the sense that this team is just built differently. You can't go based off the last game. That game didn't mean anything. They already clinched. They already clinched the spot in the championship game. But how about I'll mention a guy that's been quiet, Adam Fox. Adam Fox has been.
Actually, Steve, I want you to hold that because I want to first talk about goalies before we talk
All
about
right, let's talk
specific
about goalies.
guys.
Let's talk about goalies.
Okay. Let's talk about Canada's goaltending because that's been a topic of conversation. Um, I'll say this first of all on the McDavid goal on Hellebuck. I don't know if I've ever seen Hellebuck not react to a goal. That was nuts. Like he was still standing when McDavid scored. Anyway,
Yeah.
the USA clearly has the edge, but I feel like not enough people are giving Binnington the credit he deserves. That like he could pull out a 50 save game.
I was going to bring this up on the pod, and I'm so glad that you did, Matt, because Binnington is one of those goalies where it's like he's like great. He's not elite. He's not just okay. He's he's there. He's great. I feel like Canadians are expecting this to be an absolute super team, and it's like, do not all of the other players you have on the team already not make it a super team? By the way, Bennington dragged St. Louis. Well, I shouldn't say it was only him, but like he was one of the players that dragged them to that cup win. Well, okay, granted, he's not having the best of seasons since then, but even still, he's still a solid NHL goaltender. Why is that a problem? I don't know. It drives me insane. It's like you have
Especially
Crosby,
they scored one goal.
McKinnon.
They scored one goal.
Yes, thank you. Like you have Crosby, McKinnon, and McDavid on a line. Is that not enough for you people? Sorry.
I think just the amount of talent and skill that they have on their team, I think, takes any conversation around Bennington just out of the question. Canada can definitely win this game. Like, yeah,
Oh,
if you ask
absolutely.
me, I think it's literally 50-50 flip a coin. And I think just the skill, Mike, you said it there. I mean, you take a look at it. McKinnon, Crosby, McDavid. I mean, are they really going to lose 2 games to US? Like these are the certified dogs that you're going up against, and these are the best in the game, and to lose twice, that's tough. I don't know if I could see that. And again, Bennington, yeah, there was a couple of soft ones here and there, but again, he's more than capable of winning a game, and I don't think they need to rely on him 100%. I think with their offense, with their speed, Canada is more than equipped to make up for some of the lack of goaltending, if you want to call it, which I don't know if I fully buy that. Binnington, yeah, he's had slumps here and there and hasn't had his form from a few years ago and during that Cup run. But for one game, all on the line, Binnington can win this game.
Here,
Like you
Steve.
said, he can make a 60 save game. So, like again, it's so tough. The scales are literally balanced.
Here. And honestly, even you brought up a great point. Like Canadians, first off, in general, what NHL club has had a good elite goaltender? The Canadians with Carey Price. When did he retire?
Well, Carey Price was their international goaltender for the
Right.
longest time.
Right. Who do you have besides him? The only team that has a good goalie is Connor Hellebuck. And Connor Hellebuck has not been good in the NHL playoffs. And what has he been? The only thing he's been for the Americans so far is dynamite as a goalie. And that is crucial for the U.S. in
I
this
think
tournament.
he's been good, but I got to take here too. I don't think he's been tested very I don't think the first Canada game they brought it. He did not have some Henrik Lundqvist ass acrobat. Even I don't know. I just don't think. I don't think Hellebuck has had to, which is a good thing. That's a testament. Also, let's talk Sullivan, Torts, and Dave Quinn. What a job with their
Yeah.
game plan against Canada. I mean, that's a credit to them.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what I'm saying is we haven't seen Hellebuck have to face that danger in the three guys in front of the net and it's three of the best players in the world situations.
I'm going to make a counter argument. When you have Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon on a line, every chance is a high danger chance with them on the ice. So yeah, maybe
Okay,
he
that's
hasn't
fair.
made very flashy saves, but Hellbuck also isn't the kind of goalie to make flashy saves. So, and maybe Winnipeg fans can check me on that, but it's tough. It's tough to say, like, oh, he hasn't really had like any wild saves, therefore he didn't have a good game, or he hasn't wowed me. As a goalie, you don't need to throw on the flashy saves to wow. To me, as long as you're saving as much as you possibly can against a team like that and not fold in the face of them,
Oh.
Steve-O dropped out. That's enough for me.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up that I don't know why he keeps dropping out of the chat
Yeah,
lately.
that was kind of funny.
But there he is. He's back. Steve, what's up, brother?
I don't know why he likes doing that to me randomly.
No, and there's nothing from the RN. I was actually gonna bring up, dude. I was gonna toss to you Adam Fox because there's a number of guys. Dude, you could talk about every player in this tournament,
You
but
can.
It's crazy.
I think for especially Ranger Nation here, uh, I haven't noticed them. And I also don't think that's great because I think Slavin and Werenski look sick. McAvoy's played great. So I don't think it looks good when our Norris winner, like you're already down Quinn Hughes, and now the other guy that won the Norris on the squad isn't even playing as well as the other guys.
Yeah, and I honestly think I mean, this could be a hot take in itself, but I honestly think that Adam Fox is the best defender on the team. So it should be. So
On
I
paper.
agree.
on paper, you
On
could
paper.
I
look
agree
at
with you though.
this year, maybe definitely not this year with what Zach's doing down in Columbus, but on paper, Fox should be the best one there, and he really hasn't had an impact. I mean, he's played I don't know how many minutes on the ice, but really doesn't have a point. And honestly, watching, it kind of feels like the Rangers' first half of the season or the original first 25 games where he's just been a no-show. Like you don't even see him on the ice. He's not really making an impact. And I get it when you have, when you're talking lines of McKinnon, Crosby, McDavid, and all the stars. It's kind of hard. You're gonna have a few players here and there that go under the radar. But I mean, Adam Fox is definitely one that surprised me. You think again, it's not over. Maybe he's saving the best for last. Maybe he's saving an OT winner on Thursday. Who knows? But up to this point, it's kind of surprising, and it's not like he was cold heading into this. Adam Fox has had a couple of good games before entering the Four Nations with the Rangers. He hasn't put up crazy offensive numbers, but with the assists, setting up plays, manning the power play, he's been doing a pretty good job, and that kind of surprised me a little bit.
You know what they say, Steve-O. You know what old man Kevin O'Leary used to always say. They play the games for a reason. They don't play the games on paper. They go out there and they play the game. So, it's tough with Fox because I still it's let me speak English. It's clear that he's still being nagged by his injury issues. And maybe he doesn't want to make things worse because he was doing well before the tournament. But I don't know if I can necessarily. I've seen kind of that conjecture going around of like, well, maybe he's just kind of half-assing it because he doesn't want to make things any worse than they already are. But I don't think that a player like him or any of them, like all these guys are going full tilt. I wouldn't see why he would not go full tilt. Just because he's like, he's got this nagging injury. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Especially when you see McAvoy and the Kachucks are just going
right
balls to the wall. Like Brady left the other game, Matt left the first game, and they're gonna play. They're gonna play in the championship. So you just figure like, I could see that. I got two guys that, at least for Team USA, and I want to talk about Canada too. Team USA, I think Larkin and Gensel are making names for themselves. Gensel is just a guy that it's like when he was hitting the market last summer, I just couldn't believe that there were some teams that weren't even showing up in the reports of interest. It was like, this guy is dynamite. He's dynamite. And he doesn't do one thing great. That's the crazy part too. He just scores goals. Like Biz last night said something like his heart rate slows down in the big moment. I like that one.
He's got ice in his veins.
But two guys too that I shouldn't say I'm not impressed with, but the fact they're goalless, pointless is, I think, disappointing, is Jack Hughes and Kyle Connor.
I agree. I think that, listen, I know this is a Ranger pod. I know we're all Ranger fans, and I know we all hate Jack Hughes. But listen, I'm an American first. That is my priority, and I was rooting for Jack Hughes. I'm rooting for the guy. I'm rooting for his little twink ass. And he was just bodied. He was bodied by Canada. I mean, he got at least 3 or 4 hits against him that he was
I didn't think
for.
he was terrible. I just think it's like, listen, like there is the reality that when he's playing against some of these teams in the NHL, it's not their first line. It might be their third line.
He scored 99 points.
A lot more.
He scored 99 points last season, and I know that's last season.
Like, you got to hold him to the star standard.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I think he just the tension, the pressure in that game. No, I shouldn't say the pressure, but I think the weight of that game. I think he just couldn't handle it. I don't know why or how, but
Steve, I see you were chomping at the bit over there.
Yeah, I know.
I agree. Listen, this is the only context where you'll see me rooting for him, but from a individual standpoint, I agree. A little quiet, I think he's another one to watch out for on Thursday night. How about I'll throw another one at you under the radar. How about JT? Obviously he's a dog. We're a Ranger pod. Let's circle it back. But I mean, on the face-offs, I mean, his face-off numbers were pretty damn good. It was like 11 for 14 or something like that. I mean, he was cooking on the face-off. So definitely something I want to see second half of the season.
And I want to also throw it back, to the fact that there were a lot of, there was a lot of buzz around the roster construction, and this is why he was brought in, because he can do both. He scored 100 points in the NHL before, but when push comes to shove, he's winning the faceoff. He's getting the puck out of the corner.
And him and Vinny on a penalty kill together they're just dogs. They're just dogs. Lobby's got to put them together on a PK when we're back, man. They are crazy together.
Yeah, no, and it's also fun that, to see a bunch of Ranger players, on the ice. They're not even just like the reserve guy. I know Kreider is, but To see Fox, to see Trocheck, and now Miller, that's pretty cool. I honestly thought it was pretty nice to see Kako too. I know that's kind of a side note, but
Me too.
yeah,
Mhm.
even I mean Mika for Sweden, seen him in different colors,
Although I'm a
but
little disappointed in him because his goal was 5-on-5. That might be the most 5-on-5 stuff he's done for anybody the past couple of years.
That I can remember. I
Yeah, I know.
agree.
Like,
I think it's good though. I think it gets him that confidence. Let's get him that confidence back. If you could do it on another squad that you're not used to playing with, why can't you do it on your squad that you play with every single day and you supposedly supposed to have chemistry with them? So
Mhm.
let's get that connection and that confidence back. I like that. I think that's a good thing for Mika. Watch out.
all right, Team Canada boys. Is there anyone that's surprising you or disappointing you? I mean, granted, disappointment in the hockey perspective. I know we're all American here, but um, I'm saying like to me, KFC, Kyle F and Connor. I think he looks sick, but he hasn't done it. Like this guy's like also a 40+ goal scorer. Like he's a dog. There are guys on Team Canada that we haven't really seen a lot of either. I think
Trying to
Braden
think.
Point to start.
Trying
I
to
actually
think
think
too.
Braden Point is showing more and more. I think how he's way more valuable than people are perceive him.
And also Brandon Hagel. I know. I mean, it's not obviously hockey is not just about fighting, but the fact that he answered the call immediately and he was holy cow, he was fired up and he's talking smack in the media. Hockey wise, you can say whatever you want about his game, but just that factor that he's bringing is huge. And by the way, Sam Bennett, I know he's not disappointing. I know your question was who's disappointing. He's the complete opposite. I'm like, damn, why did the Rangers not pick him up when they had the chance? He's crazy. I can't think of anybody off the top of my
Maybe
head.
Anthony Sorelli, if anybody's maybe been a little quiet, but you look at him. What was he playing the third line? You could say, what's his role? I mean, the team is just so built that,
I
and
will say one thing.
he does. He did win a couple faceoffs though.
I you
Ooh,
know that now that you say that, the only thing I could think is the I don't know. It's not fair to criticize the defense to me because they were supposed to have Petrangelo and Theodore. So, like, yeah, to me, Drew Doughty hasn't looked good, but he's coming off of an injury, and they added him to the team a day before the tournament.
And he
damn.
had to
I'm
miss
looking.
the
I'm looking
last
at the.
years.
Oh, Mitchie Marner, obviously, but we knew that one.
He did score the OT goal though.
Yeah, that's true. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
but he's
saying.
been a ghost, man.
Listen, I'm looking at the lineup right now. Shout out Daily Faceoff. Travis Konechny, like all of
Yeah,
these guys are firing on all cylinders. Maybe Mark Stone.
I
Maybe.
feel like he has. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if he wins in the trenches tomorrow, that's going to be an X factor. Or
that's the
Thursday, that's going
problem.
to be a
I feel like
major X factor.
Yeah.
Mark Stone is so clutch, and like
Right.
I need to watch what I say now because then Thursday will be like this will be so puck talk for me to say something like, and then I'll be like, oh, Mark Stone, and then Mark Stone a hat trick. It's like, oh,
Well, Gary Lawless said kind of what you said, Steve-O. He's the Vegas analyst. He did say he was like, the old adage, like, do you beat the same team twice? And that does
that's what
concern me.
scares me. Like
Right.
again, I think this US just watching them, this is a different team, but just looking at it, like we all know how good this Canadian team is. Are they really going to lose twice? And listen, for the three of us, the sports year that we've been having, I mean, this would just fall right in line in the next chapter of
Oh,
things.
brother.
I can't.
Like
That's just Steve-O, just stop. Just
I'm
stop.
just saying
Stop
that.
now.
So
I
that's
might
why
cry.
I'm
Please.
cautiously optimistic for Thursday.
I'll say this, though. The Americans went in to the Bell Center, which, by the way, what an atmosphere to have that game in. And they won. I don't know. And I know this is, maybe more of like the mythical aspect of it. I just don't know if especially this group of players for the United States, is going to lose in Boston. Jack Eichel's entire family, his entire town is going to be there. I just can't imagine that they fold then. By the way, Eichel playing way better than I expected. His back checking is crazy.
The Rangers had the chance. They had the chance to get him.
Even on the 2 goals that he scored a couple weeks ago against us, I mean, those were all skill. Like there's nothing you could have done. Like
Oh, the laser, right?
that was all skill, bro. I mean, he is so talented, and we knew that. I think he's top 10 for sure.
I don't know
No
why
doubt.
the NHL doesn't market him more.
Because he looks like Marv from friggin' Home Alone. But I got to tell you though,
Matthews isn't any more attractive than him. What are you talking about?
true, but
He's got a
Matthews has the
shotgun
whole
nose and a
earring and
forehead the size of the Empire
mustache and
State
all.
Building.
I don't know. I think Matthew, I got to say, Eichel, I feel like has really, I mean, I would say he's up there with, I think it's the Chuck's Eichel, Larkin, Gensel, right? I know, and I'm not just saying the goal scorers. Those also happen to be the guys that I think have major impacts. I like Steve-O's pick of Miller, obviously Werenski. I would like to see a little more AM34, man. He's the goal scorer, 60. I mean, they say, I also think what's great is this is on ESPN and they actually have like cool stuff to talk about, like Austin Matthews, 2 times 60 goal scorer. If this was like 5 years ago, they would have been pulling out some rando butt ass
20
stat of
years
like
ago.
Steven
You're like
Stamkos had 40 goals once. Like no one
Jamie
cares.
Benn's dog's name is.
Yeah. So
No, but I will
I
say,
would like to see
Chaz,
more. I'd like to see more Matthews.
I agree with you. I want to see more of him on the score sheet, but the intangibles and his like two-way play. I've always heard from you've always heard from Leaf fans. I'm up for Selke, up for Selke. I didn't believe it until now.
I think he does play both sides of the puck really well, and I actually think he's very comparable to Eichel.
Yeah, but it comes to a point where it's like, Aaron
Better
Judge,
than Eichel.
we got to get some results here, and I think I agree with you. I think we got to see some results.
Big game, big game. But genuinely, I think it's going to come down to some of the guys we already talked about to win that game. Like I think they're your big game players.
Agreed.
What are we thinking? Low scoring, high scoring? What are you guys feeling?
Low scoring.
Low.
This is gonna be like a 2-1,
3-2,
3-1.
The
Yeah.
Kachucks might sacrifice their season for this. You know what was cool? I'm up late watching the game, right? Obviously, we were all talking, but who wasn't? But I'm watching Sports Center. It was like way later. It was the night Sports Center, and Eichel's on from the post game, and he was like, they asked him, what was that like? You've won a championship, and he was like, we played that like a game set. I was like, oh my god. So I think it's gonna be low scoring. I think it's like 2019 Cup final type of.
Oh. There's a chance that I might rally a group of people and cop one of the classrooms here and like put it on the projector so that I can scream in some empty classroom building and I don't have to bother my neighbors in this apartment building. I might go crazy and I need to see that on a big screen.
I think one of the last things we should address before moving on is if you guys hypothetically were to get one USA jersey, who are you guys getting?
Probably Brady Kachuk. I'm a
with you.
huge Matt Kachuk guy, but that fight, I thought Brady's fight was crazy. Him and Bennett were like Matt was a little tied up with Hagel. Brady was, even though he's a psycho for not chewing them, he's chewing his mouth guard in a fight. But Brady was swinging it.
I might go Brady so that when the Rangers trade for him, I already have that jersey.
I thought probably Miller. He's a Ranger. He's locked into a contract for a few years.
That's lame sauce. Where we all pick Brady. I
probably would go with Matt Kachuk because I just think he's an overall.
Brady's got to
savage.
be probably one of my favorite non-Rangers in hockey. So
Maybe he's a future Ranger. No, he is
By
a
the
future
way,
Ranger.
man,
Let's put that out there.
we got to. I say this too. I've seen a lot of discourse about obviously those two in general, but about Florida, Ottawa, does one move out of Ottawa. I'll say this: if the Rangers were not to land him, if he ever moved, right? I mean, at this point, I don't know why Ottawa would ever move him. It would have to come from him. I gotta say, I would I would actually pay a lot of money to see Brady and Matt on the same team. Imagine that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
They
if the
are
Rangers aren't going to land
psychopaths.
him, I want to see them on the same squad. I want that every night.
Yeah, well, listen, if it's not NYR, keep him out of the metro. I'm okay with that.
Keep him out of 100%.
There are going to be a lot of future reps in America who are going to have to deal with kids who want to be Kachuk brothers. Like they have made such a brand for themselves now that A, they got to keep up with the brand now that they have it, and B, I think every single kid in America wants to be one of the two of them.
And
So,
by the way, awesome for hockey.
oh,
Awesome for
absolutely.
hockey. Like that is what everybody wants. And
Yep.
it's evident.
100%.
And it's
By the
also
way,
winning hockey.
next time I see both of you, I'm dapping you guys up like Brady and Matt did. I mean, I still can't get over that. That was so
It's
smooth.
kind of like me and Mike are like the Kachucks, and you're like JT.
Yes.
JT would be my second jersey. He'd be the backup. If they were sold out in Brady jerseys, I'd get JT's US jersey.
All right. Speaking of JT boys, any other last thoughts on the Four Nations? No, going once, going twice.
I'll think of it after we end the pod, of course.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be
Me too.
careful what I
So,
say again because I don't want it to come back up on Thursday.
all right, boys, where we leave off in Rangerland. By the way, I don't even. I saw the Saturday slate on TNT of games, and I was just like, oh, I gotta hate people again. It's like Carolina, Toronto, New Jersey, like maybe Boston. I was like, nah, like I gotta hate on people again. But JT Miller has been very impactful as a Ranger. Something Mike texted was actually hilarious in our group chat. He said something along the lines of like, JT's only been in New York for like 14 days. And that's insane to think
It's
about. He
crazy.
went from the trade, he went from yelling at Pedersen for like his life to like New York, but he played in Boston. He scored. He's been great. The team got better, and then he went to Four Nations and then fought. Like it's been nuts for him.
He has
But
had
they've been
the
they've been
craziest
on the
run.
uptrend. Yeah, they've been on the uptrend.
Yeah, and I think, listen, no matter what happens on Thursday, it's not like, I need a break from hockey. We're jumping right back into this. I mean, listen, we are still in this. We are only 3 points out of the second wild card in the Eastern Conference Final. And I think we got 26, 27 games left. I mean, that is more than enough to do this. And we are in the position to do this. I mean, we only have 3 teams ahead of us, sitting in the standings. The Islanders are 1 point behind us with a matchup coming up within the next week. We'll talk about that.
Mhm.
But I think, we are in prime positioning here. This is, we got, but first up, Buffalo coming up. They're the rear end in the standings. They're headed for, what is it, the 15th straight season where they haven't been in the playoffs. And can't remember the last time. Or was it the last time we split the season series with them? But remember the last game that we caught? We should stop watching games together. We're not watching the game together on Thursday. But
Good.
the Sabres, I mean, that game was, this is a team you have to beat. I mean, if you can't beat the bottom team in the East, I mean, what is the future of this team? And I know that the last time we played them was in December when we were fighting demons, but I mean, this is a team you gotta beat.
Let's talk about the so back and so what is it? So back, so done. What is
We're
it?
so cooked.
Cooked
We're so
and
back.
all right. Cooked and we're so back. Because that Pittsburgh game really seemed like it was curtains. Like, I don't know if we talked about that. We don't need to, but I thought the game in Columbus was extremely redeeming.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
Oh,
I feel
Cooley,
like
by
the
the way,
last
didn't do a lot before that. It's been a while since Cooley's made an impact.
I was literally just about to bring that up. It's funny how like when we're bad, Cooley is dynamite, and then when we're good, Like I feel like him, Loft, like they just kind of fall off. Very strange. Um, but what I was gonna say going into or coming out of Four Nations, Steve-O, you're talking about looking at the upcoming slate. We're one of the few teams. It's what the Rangers and the Panthers that have 4 players playing. No, well, we have more than that. We play more than that because we got Zibanejad and your boy back in Island, Steve. Um, it's good that we have so many guys who are keeping their legs fresh. Like I've seen this narrative of like, oh, they're going to be tired. Okay, so if we make a playoff spot, when we clinch a playoff spot, then you sit those guys and you let them take a couple days rest. Like everybody knows, you got to keep the treadmill going. We got to keep these guys on the ice. And there are teams that we're playing coming up that don't have nearly as many guys going, and especially as many key guys who are going to be in hockey shape, coming
And
into these next few
don't be
games.
fooled. They practiced today,
Who, the
right? Like
Rangers?
the New York
Yep,
Rangers
they did.
practiced
Oh,
today.
mhm.
So like they're keeping fresh. The other thing too, coming out of Four Nations, Igor rested. That's huge.
Mhm.
Like the fact he didn't have to play Four Nations, although I mentioned how cool it would be to have a team Europe. I mentioned the fact that he is going to be rested, Loft, Cooley. That's going to be big for them, especially for some of those guys. Like they're young. They had to endure a lot of drama and crap this
Mhm.
year. Like I think it's big that they have that time to like recoup, get on the ice, kind of like under the radar. Everyone's thinking about Thursday. No one's thinking about the Rangers right now. But the moment puck drops on Saturday, it's all coming back, and they're going to have that time to rest it and gotten back into it.
Yeah. 2 points I got. I'll pivot back to that Pittsburgh game because I do agree with you. This is a team. This is another team that's near the bottom end of the standings, and this is a team that minus the last or include the last game. I think we've outplayed them in every single period that we've played them this year. Now the last game was unfortunate, but I still think we still outplayed them. We just lost. So this is a team that we should beat. I know for some reason we can't ever win 2 games back to back. Let's see if we could break that coming out of Four Nations. I think that would give this team a lot of confidence. But my next point is, and I think we could kind of go one by one by one. If I had to give you one thing that I think is so important for the second half of the season, entering this, Matt, you just mentioned it. I think it's Igor. I think how are you expected to win if you're not good at what you're supposed to be good at? And I think when you look at it, after signing that contract, and I'm not saying it's because he signed that contract, but Igor hasn't had the best of seasons. He coming into the break, he lost 4 of his last 5 starts. He allowed, what was it, 17 or 18 goals in 4 games. He's had, he's given up, at least 4 more goals in like 15 games this season. These are all real stats. He has not had the greatest of seasons. So I think if we're going to end, listen, he didn't have help from defense, but listen, 4 of the last 5 games where Igor has struggled, I think the defense has been better than it has been in December. So we got to get back to fundamentals, and I think Igor's got to figure it out. Last year was all right. Igor didn't have the best of years last year, but it doesn't matter. Some of those holes were filled in, offensively, defensively, neutral zone. This year, that's not the case. Some of those holes are not there, and the water's not entering the ship right now, but we got to fill some of those holes, and I think it starts with your best player on the ice, and that's Igor. So that's my first point. What do you guys got?
So are we talking about kind of who we think has to step up, who's the X
Yeah, or
factor?
just
Like
overall second half themes. What is going to be crucial? Like if the Rangers are to flip the calendar in April and make the playoffs, what is one thing that has to be improved or that has to be, the best element to this team?
okay, I'd say one, their reads on the breakout, and that starts with I think reading the opposite team's breakout on the forecheck, which they've improved on tremendously. Name JT Miller. He's been a major part of that process. Obviously team defense, right? All the things we've talked about. I'm going to say two names. One, Chris Kreider. I think that he's definitely playing injured. He had to play in 4 nations. And obviously, I think he did because, like, this is really his best shot at representing his country. But at the same time, you look and now, like, his totals they were underwhelming a little while ago, but you could understand because the team was struggling. But now I feel like they stick out real bad. Um, I think he's a major factor in the second half because I think sometimes the team goes where he leads, and I feel like he hasn't had that impact on the ice this year overall. The second thing, I guess, theme, if you say, if that's what we're calling it, you can't come out of the gate and lose a bad game. Like you can't lose like a 5-0 game. You can't lose a 3-2 OT heartbreaker. I think what this team needs is a reset where they win coming out of the gate, and it's they win a big game. Maybe it's a back and forth north south, and they find a way to win 5-4. Things like that, I think, will help this team because I think with the clean slate, you want it to be a clean slate and you don't want it to get messy again because I think that was the whole purpose and the whole benefit of the break was to slow that down, to escape it, to have an out, a back door, not come out of the break and now it's like, oh, we lost that one 5-4 in OT. That would be the worst thing for this team. But that's what I got to say. Mike, what do you got?
Well, actually, that was going to be my whole entire number one point. So, so I'm glad that you brought it up because yes, here on that. Um, I would say the defense is going to have to shore itself up. I don't know if that means a trade from Drury. I don't know. I mean, granted, he's already pulled off a blockbuster. I don't know if he's going to be willing to do another one, but at the very least, maybe he'll get some help at the deadline. Um, but if not that, then the current squad has to pull up. You know, I don't know. I was just saying how I'm glad that we had so many guys who are, on the hamster wheel already with hockey, being in 4 nations. I don't know if it was necessarily a good thing on second thought for Adam Fox, because if he is injured, if he's still getting that nagging injury, or he's being nagged by that injury, and he's not 100% coming out of the gate, that's not going to help this defense, especially when he is the X factor on it. So let's hope the other guys on the defense step up. They pull up and finally shore up their problems. But yeah, I think going forward, adding JT to the offense is going to keep it going. Is gonna inject a lot more life into it. So now we got to see something out of the defense.
I agree, and these next 3 games are so important. Also, because we are fastly approaching March 7th. So if you lose some of these games, you might see a pivot in a different direction, which is one we don't want to see. Really quickly, I'll ask before we wrap up. A quick question. This could be a hot take too. You boys rather win on Thursday, or would you rather the Rangers make the playoffs?
Oh,
All right, this is a hard one to say.
I'm taking the
Because I
playoff.
feel like
I'm taking the
I knew you were
playoff.
going to say it. No, I know that's where your head's at. The two sides I see is that one, if the Rangers make it, I don't know how much faith I don't have a lot of faith in a championship. So like God's plan, but also Team USA, if they were to lose, they have 2 years and then another 2 years. Like now we actually have an international schedule where it's going to be competitive hockey internationally. And I feel like that first win was awesome. So I don't know. I feel like I could go both ways.
okay. If you want me, this is very, very selfish. And I hope both of you can understand, and all of Rangerstown can also understand. Of course, I want my Rangers to make the playoffs. But I have my qualifying exams coming up, and I'm going to have no free time this spring. So maybe I'm okay if there's 1 year that the Rangers don't make the playoffs. Maybe I'm okay with the most stressful time in my life. They don't make the playoffs. So
Well, you know what? I'm
that's
okay.
tough to say.
I guess where I support that too is like I would love Canadian tears right now. It's been
Yeah.
really fun to see the meltdown online because of Binnington.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is
And
true.
if we make the playoffs, if the Rangers make the playoffs, who knows? Like if we play the Hurricanes, okay, cool. I don't really care. But like if we somehow pull like the Devils, I don't want to lose to them.
That's true.
I would rather
That
not
is
make the
understandable.
playoffs than lose
That's
in the first
understandable.
round.
How about everybody listening? If you made it up to this point, comment below. We want to hear this. Maybe this will be a poll on the IG. So check it out. Check us out at Puck Talk CS. This will wrap us up here for this episode. And as always, just remember, it's just the luck of the puck.
Steve-O, you know what? I'm gonna fourth wall. I'll say this. Thursday, it's the luck of the puck. Gosh darn. God bless America.
USA, baby. God bless America.